Hello and welcome to World News on TVP World live from Warsaw. I'm Marie Cater. In Prague, the final debate between Prime Minister Petr Fiala and Andrej Babiš took place just hours before polling stations opened this afternoon. With voters heading to the ballot box, it was the last chance for both candidates to win over the undecided. Aleksandra Bulenda reports from Prague.
Two men, one stage and one last chance to sway voters. Last night's debate between Petr Fiala and Andrej Babiš was their final duel before polls open. Now, Prime Minister once again warned that Babiš's return would drag the Czech Republic eastward. His rival fired back, accusing the government of impoverishing the people. Analysts say that the two leaders largely repeated all arguments that we all heard before in previous debates, though Babiš appeared more disciplined than in earlier showdowns.
This election will have an enormous impact on the Czech Republic's future trajectory, whether we'll be a prosperous, safe and free country or whether we'll shift to the east. That's what citizens will decide in this election.
Babiš avoided calling his opponent Mr. Prime Minister, and instead he called him Mr. Fiala, a subtle attempt to strip him of stature. And while his rhetoric echoed his core message, he also sharpened attacks, calling Fiala's government itself the greatest threat.
The biggest problem of Europe is that we have this system not like in America. Because when Donald Trump said, okay, I swear, he signed 28 laws and that's it. So we were always in the government in minority, and we never had the chance to have this possibility to decide very quickly.
And that exclusive comment for TVP World highlights Babiš's broader strategy, pitching ANO as the one force strong enough to govern alone. And whether votes buy it will soon be tested at the ballot box. From Prague for TVP World, I'm Aleksandra Bulenda.
And the outcome of these elections could also impact the country's support for Ukraine, as the Czech Ammunition Initiative is a key pillar of European support. Our correspondent Alex Cadier is in Kyiv and has more.
Well, the Ukrainian people may not be paying that close attention to this election, but it may have an impact on European support for their country. The Czech Republic, of course, has been one of the most vocal, reliable and staunch allies of Ukraine since the start of the full-scale invasion. A crucial piece of Czech diplomacy is that crucial pillar ammunition initiative, centralizing orders of ammunition to be delivered to Ukraine, among other European countries, accelerating the process for European nations to be able to support Ukraine with more ammunition. This came about, of course, after a shortage in shells experienced by the Ukrainian armed forces last year. So we don't yet know what kind of government will be in place after these elections. We know that Babiš has said that he would be more skeptical of supporting Ukraine. Other candidates are more skeptical of the EU and NATO. But what is clear is that if a Babiš government were to come to office, it would mean the Czech Republic is a less reliable ally for Ukraine. That lack of clarity on the Babiš position on Ukraine could mean they would have to adapt to another European country slightly more skeptical of supporting Ukraine in their fight against Russia. Time will tell exactly how that pans out, but clearly, from the Ukrainian perspective, any victory for a candidate more skeptical of supporting their country will not be welcome news. In Kyiv, I'm Alex Cadier for TVP World.
Amid a looming budget deficit, Russian oil and gas revenues for September are down considerably from last year. Low global oil prices, sanctions and a stronger ruble have further reduced Moscow's earnings. Russia's finance ministry reported the federal budget received over $7 billion in oil and gas taxes in September, 25% less year on year compared to 2024. Since January, total oil and gas revenues have dropped by $20.7 billion to $80.4 billion. The decline comes as Russia struggles with a growing budget deficit, which reached over $49 billion by the end of August. The deficit has forced Moscow to reduce planned military spending for 2026. Ukraine will issue new permits for the search and exhumation of victims of the Volhynia massacre carried out by Ukrainian nationalists against the Polish minority during World War II, said Ukrainian ambassador to Poland Vasyl Bodnar. According to the ambassador, the permits may be issued in the coming weeks. Ukraine is set to issue authorizations for exploratory work in the villages of Ugły in Volhynia and Huta Pieniacka in the Lviv region, according to Bodnar, who spoke to the Ukrinform agency. The Ukrainian ambassador emphasized that similar work is expected to continue in other areas identified by both Ukrainian and Polish authorities. Bodnar also provided an update on the ongoing work that began on September 30th in the village of Jureczkowa in southeastern Poland, noting that the searches there are expected to take up to 3 weeks. Munich airport shut down Thursday night after repeated airspace incursions. The closure follows weeks of Russian drones and fighter jets crossing into the skies of more than a dozen NATO member states in Europe. EU leaders met in Copenhagen on Thursday to discuss how to respond to the latest Kremlin provocations.
Munich airport in Germany had been closed on Thursday night following drones sighted circulating over it. The affected passengers assumed the usual suspect.
Everyone supposes it's Russia, and I do as well. And then, why are they doing it? What do they want to provoke with this? It's strange and a bit worrying.
I assume it has something to do with Russia, yes.
Though the airport was reopened on Friday morning, air traffic overnight was substantially affected. At least 17 flights were grounded, while another 15 were diverted to nearby cities. This latest incident involving NATO member states' critical infrastructure comes just a day after Polish Prime Minister Donald Tusk said that he received information about suspected Russian activity near his country's seaborne infrastructure.
We have another incident now close to Szczecin port. 2 days ago it was an incident close to our Petro-Baltic platform and our pipeline. Both are Russian vessels. And in fact, we have a new incidents in our region, I mean Baltic Sea, every single week.
The port spokesperson, however, noted in her official statement that neither the port in Szczecin nor the port in Świnoujście, which hosts Polish LNG terminal, experienced any unusual activity. Though the alleged provocation did not result in any damage this time, the harsh reality is that since September, a number of European NATO countries have been targeted by hostile Russian actions, from drone and fighter jet incursions to circulations around critical infrastructure, including airports and pipelines. Multilateral responses, including NATO's Eastern Sentry policing mission, have been subsequently activated. As EU officials gathered on Thursday for the unofficial European Leaders Summit in Copenhagen, the bloc's potential responses were expected to dominate the agenda.
We live in troubled times. The Russian war against Ukraine is still ongoing. We see that Russia is testing our resolve. So these are times where it is absolutely paramount that we have a common sense of urgency and unity to address these challenges.
I think it needs to be reiterated that anyone who violates European airspace is liable to reprisals, because it is our right, and we will ensure that European airspace is respected, and that means continuing to equip ourselves.
One solution to these provocations is expected to be a drone wall, though, as experts note, the details remain obtuse.
Nobody fully understands what a drone wall is. I mean, it sounds nice, we sort of understand in general what it's supposed to do, but what exactly is it? I don't think anybody understands. That's number one. Number two, it's also, I think, clear that there are some member states that are more focused on this topic, and those are the member states here on the eastern border that have experienced Russian incursions. So the countries further to the west, they don't care that much about it, and they don't have the sense of urgency.
The proposal is currently in its infancy, but as underlined by EU Commissioner for Defence and Space Andrej, having an effective detection system as well as capabilities to intercept and destroy drones is an urgent matter.
Europe's largest producer of coking coal, Jastrzębski Węgiel, is on the brink of bankruptcy. This has prompted the Polish mining giant, which employs more than 30,000 workers, to call for support from the state. Based in southern Poland, Jastrzębski Węgiel mined 6.2 million tons of coal in the first half of 2025, slightly more than a year earlier. This also includes coking coal, vital for steel making. But the higher output hasn't stabilized the company's finances. Coal prices have slumped with no sign of recovery, and Jastrzębski Węgiel has lost 0.5 billion euros in the first 6 months of the year. The mining giant is now calling for the return of the solidarity tax, an extra levy on energy companies that cost it about 375 million euros in 2023 and 2024. Jastrzębski Węgiel argues it shouldn't be taxed as an energy company and says the measure has pushed it toward collapse. And this wraps up World News. Thank you for joining us and stay tuned for more on TVP World. Goodbye.